Lightning round works.
Yes, no, or pass.
Yes, no, or pass. And so it's a one-word answer. If yes or no doesn't seem adequate to you, say pass. Because if you go into a second word, I'll stop you right where you are, okay? One-word answers. We got 12 questions to get through. And so I guess we'll start at Rick's end and move down this way. And then we'll go back to Rick and move back down this way again. Do you support the current city bond package that's being proposed?
Yes.
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 Do you support the authority of the city to expend public funds to lobby the legislature?
No.
Yes.
No.
No.
Do you have any contracts or business dealings with the city, or do you expect to have any such arrangements while on council?
No.
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 Will you commit to limiting the growth of the city's budget to the sum of inflation plus population growth?
Yes.
No.
I'm sorry, does that mean effective tax rate?
Uh,
I'm sorry.
Essentially, yes.
Okay, then yes. Sorry.
The
Yes.
budget would be the spending part.
Okay.
So,
Yes.
yes. Would you oppose any effort to ban or restrict the sale of firearms or ammunition in the city of McKinney?
Would I support?
Would you oppose?
Yes.
Yes, I think.
Oppose the ban. Pass.
Yes, I oppose.
Okay. Would you oppose any effort to limit or restrict the rights of citizens, including city employees, to freely exercise their First Amendment rights?
Yes.
Can you ask that question again?
Would you oppose any effort to limit or restrict the rights of citizens, including city employees, to freely exercise their First Amendment rights? Would you oppose any efforts to do that?
Yes.
You would.
Yes.
Yes.
Okay. Have you ever been arrested or under investigation by a federal, state, or local government entity?
No.
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 Yes.
I support SB 2/HB2, which caps budget growth to 2.5%.
Yes.
No.
Pass.
Yes.
I support an election to approve any tax rate which results in a budget increase of more than 2.5%.
Can you repeat that again?
I support an election to approve a tax rate which results in a budget increase of more than 2.5%. Similar to the previous question, but
Yes.
No.
Yes.
Yes.
okay. Do you support forced annexation of extraterritorial properties outside the city limits?
Do I support that? No.
Pass.
No.
No.
Okay. Do you support the concept of sanctuary cities?
No.
Pass.
Pass.
No.
And lastly, I support allowing additional high-density or multifamily zoning of a high-density variety.
Okay, support
Yes, I support.
the density. No, I don't support the
No.
density.
Okay.
Yes.
No.
No.
Okay. We're done.
All right, stay tuned, Jim. Anybody have any questions from the audience? We have about 5 minutes or so.
Mike, may I have 15 seconds?
You want to ask a question? No, go
Well, I did admit to being arrested, and I'd like to explain.
ahead. Does anybody want to let them?
I second.
I want to hear the story.
I was a naughty driver, and when I left to go in the service, I thought I had taken care of all of my tickets. I went to Virginia and became a good driver. And when I returned to the state of Wisconsin with my Virginia license, they informed me that, no, in fact, I hadn't taken care of everything. So though I had a valid license in the Commonwealth of Virginia, the state of Wisconsin did not recognize that. So after meeting with the judge, we came to a solution, which is pay what I owed and go about my business and don't ever darken his door again, and all is well.
How about anybody else?
I have a question. All
Okay.
right, so I recently saw an article about some homeless folks at the library, and I'm just curious how each one of you would handle that situation, what your thoughts and squaring that away would be.
Is that the downtown library?
That library, yes, where they,
Yeah.
downtown, and they were,
Because there's
Yeah.
two of them.
yes.
And apparently, they can't do anything about it. That was what the whole article was about,
Right,
is that they had the right to be there. And
because it's
so
public property.
we need to have a comprehensive plan. This is not gonna go away. Homelessness is not gonna go away. So you need to have someplace for them to go. They need health care, they need food, and they need shelter. And there needs to be some, McKinney has got the only homeless shelter in McKinney, the Samaritan Inn, but it's not really geared to the people that we're looking at here. Because the Samaritan Inn, their function is to take people that are actually homeless, that want to help themselves, and they train them, and they give them counselors, and they send them back out into the world, and they give them their confidence back. These people, a lot of them don't want to move anywhere. They don't want to come in to these places. They're used to being out in tents and in places like that. And I don't know what the answer is, but there's got to be some type of comprehensive plan that we can come up with, that we can take care of these people, because they're not going to go away. This problem's not going to go
So
away.
is it a mental health issue, you think?
Some of it is a mental health issue. You have a lot of veterans that are, they've got PTSD or whatever, and they just can't function.
Okay.
So they need help. That's where the medical help comes in. That's where the counseling comes in. We need to reach out
Let's
to these
move
people.
on down
and
to
help
some of the
them.
others here.
Next.
Okay.
I'll make it easy. Exactly what Rick said.
Well, let's put it this way. After enduring 300 comments online, very few people had better ideas than the folks online that we talked about this. NBC5 came out and filmed the day before the article broke, and by the next day, that population was removed. It is my understanding that Paul Grimes had said we would just corner off or block off the courtyard because it's public property, and according to the 9th District Court, our city attorney is following the rules that it's public property. Anybody know what district we're in McKinney?
Not the 9th.
The 5th District. So, not only did they move, they also went to other property owned by MEDC that is now known as a similar situation. They do need health care. They do need being provided for in a way that everyone knows they don't want to be seen in their backyard. However, one of the coolest ideas that came out of this large discussion going on over 72 hours, viewed hundreds of times and shared all over McKinney, was putting a tiny house community next to the new senior citizens recreation center that we're voting on for the bond, and having the veterans close to the rec center and giving them the transitional ability to have tiny houses and have access to health care to help our veterans. And that I thought was the coolest.
Okay, well, my understanding is there's generally three primary causes of homelessness. You have mental health issues, you have people that just don't want to live in a house, and then you have people that are just drugged out of their mind, okay? Well, you can help people that want to be helped, and you can't help people that don't want to be helped. There isn't a single set, one thing that we can do that is ever going to fix this. There have been homeless people since the dawn of time. They're never, ever going to be gone away. The problem is we all suffer from NIMBY. We don't want it in our backyard, right? There's plenty of tracts of land that aren't currently being used, that are either owned by the city or the county, that if we wanted to give them a homeless camp, they used to be called hobo camps, you know? And yeah, it's embarrassing, and yeah, you know, oh, I can't believe we have one of those in town. But you know what? They're people. They needed to be shown compassion, and we need to extend a hand of care. If they don't want to take our help, that's fine. Let them live out in the camp where they can be on their own and take care of themselves, because that's what they want. If they do want help, those opportunities are there. There are public health opportunities for many of these people, and if they're a veteran and they're choosing to do that, they have lots of opportunities. And all veterans should be made aware of that, and they should be the first guys to help, because most of the time when a veteran's got a problem, it's because of his service, and they need to be given that extra step and extra protection. When you choose to be a drug addict without that mental health component, that's kind of more on you, which you still need to be treated with compassion.
We have time for one more question. Anybody want to ask one more? Tom?
You all said you were in favor of the bond issues coming up. 91 million of it is for parks and recreation. Why do you believe $91 million is needed for additional parks and recreation?
That's a good question. Good question.
Oh, okay.
Given the existing fine parks and recreation we have.
So part of that is the new senior center
Yeah.
that is being built. Right now, they had built one for 1,000 members, and it will reach 4,000 members in 2020. So they're building an Apex-style center that'll be right next to the old one or close to it. So therefore, about 50 million of that will go towards our senior citizens revamped center.
So they need 50 million for a luxury indoor track and all that great facilities
I'll jump in here.
that exist in other places in the city.
I'll jump in here. I'm probably the guy that's least willing to spend other people's money, okay? But the city has an opportunity to say no. And if you think that $51 million for a senior center is too much, go out and vote no. I support it in principle because, you know what? Those facilities, they may or may not be needed, but the opportunity exists to say no. And if you don't like it, please go say no. I'm fine with the idea if people want to pay for it because they get to vote on it. And here's the other side. They want $50 million for a municipal complex. That is the only thing that took me back.
Yeah.
They already have 35 million built into that.
Yeah.
So they really are going to spend $85 million on a municipal complex. Of the 5 things we're going to spend money on, that is the only thing that I wouldn't say nervous, but I'm torn on. And that's even if that is approved. But
You're for the entire, you're against that, but you're for the bond issue.
absolutely.
Because other people, just because people have the ability to
Because people
vote.
have the opportunity to make that decision, absolutely.
And I think
Aren't you having it both ways then?
well,
I imagine you could look at it that way. I'm not gonna vote for it, okay? But they put a bond issue out, and I support that the bond issue's out there, because we get to make the
Well, that
decision.
wasn't the question. The question was supporting the
I'm
bond
trying to
issue.
clarify, because
Okay.
you're right, it does sound like I want my cake and eating it too. And I wanna clarify that I support the idea that they put the bond out there.
And at least they split it up.
That's exactly right.
yeah.
That's good.
Something we don't see from the school board.
Amen.
What I would say is, number one, the bond election, it gives you the right to sell bonds. My whole deal, if I were elected, was I don't necessarily want to sell the bonds, okay? I'd rather do other stuff to try to gather money, and I can go back in history. I was on the Parks Board in McKinney, 20 years ago. And Town Lake Park, which we all know, okay, was built primarily on grant money. The city owned the land, they put the land in, they got money from the Texas Department of Wildlife. So most of that park was done through Parks and Wildlife. So it was nothing to the city. I think we need to go back, and I've even checked, we've got $2 million worth of grants pending at the Parks Department now on different projects. We need to be reaching out and going to the private sector and going to the public sector, these grants and everything, doing public-private partnerships to try to stretch our dollar. We can do that in Parks and Rec. We can make that bond money last for years and years and years. So I'd be reaching out, trying to figure out how we can best use our money.
One of the things that a few different folks have talked to me about with the Parks Department is the previous Parks director was very good about going out and looking for grant money rather than spending bond money or budget money to pay for parks. And that's something that we need to lean on the new Parks director for. On the senior center itself, you see how many people are utilizing that facility right now. That's something that's good for the community, good for an underserved population. I think that's a great way to spend money.
And then you know how many are using it right now?
Yes, there's
Yes, we do.
currently a projection of 2020 being 4,000 when it's only supposed to be a 1,000 member unit. I don't know the projection of the new facility, I'm sorry.
So they're
12
using,
years, the earth is expected to end,
There you
So
go.
that's a projection. So you're
So then you won't
buying
have to worry
into a
about paying off the
projection.
bond.
Bonds will never have, never paid off. Solve our problem.
My point is you're buying into a projection.
But we're projected to triple to 3 million in the county alone by 2050. So if there's any correlation to how that senior center will be used, it's more affordable than the Apex Center, hopefully, as usually senior centers are. And it's a big deal to a lot of the members that go. I've heard stories of people spending $300 a month on taxis just to get there because they enjoy it so much, and they have a lot of time to spend in network that's different from.
Oh, dang it, nobody asked about public transportation.
We have
another half an hour.
Okay, that's it.
I
Thank
oppose.
you. Yeah. This is tough